You know, I always let out a little chuckle when I hear someone talk about Star Wars, and their first comment is, the dialogue is cheesy, or this scene ruins the movie. They're usually talking about one trilogy or another while trying to debunk their favorite trilogy's dialogue and scenes. But I'm here to tell you, if you didn't already know, shh, be very quiet. All of Star Wars has cheesy dialogue and goofy scenes. It's set up that way. Yes, a lot of it's on purpose, but some of it leaves us scratching our heads as to why. Good Lord, why did he or she say that? Part of the reason is that Star Wars was written as sort of a soap opera in space. It's true, I promise. Family drama with horrible dialogue, some bad direction, and a pinch of bad acting. But this is what makes Star Wars so great. Okay, to me it makes it great. So today I want to go over some of the cheesiest lines and images in Star Wars. And not all are the usual suspects, like I hate sand or somehow Palpatine returned. These are obvious and overdone. We know they're bad. Let's move on. Hit the subscribe button. We will start with my favorite trilogy, the original trilogy released from 1977 to 1983. It's the one I grew up with, and it contains The Empire Strikes Back. Yeah, moist. You know what? There's enough in each trilogy to make this into 3 videos. Subscribe to my channel, so let's just go do the original trilogy for now. The Death Star plans are not in the main computer. I mean, why would they be? This is highly secretive and sensitive information. It's like leaving the layout of a naval base on a kitchen table. I'm not certain how main computers work in Star Wars, but it sounds like it's something that can be accessed by the lowest of airmen. Of course, they aren't in the main computer, you dumb expletive. Go miss another target, Stormtrooper number 3. And Darth Vader seemed to be visibly upset by this. What do you mean they don't have it in their main computer for everyone to access? Alright, so let's move on. That was a cheesy moment. Hold your fire. There's no life forms. It must have short-circuited. I hope this guy got choked out by Darth Vader. I don't care if he's into it or not. This one has always been funny to me. In a galaxy full of droids and the Death Star plans not being in the main computer, put 2 and 2 together, bro. The plans are in the escape pod. One zap would have ended the movie with written and directed by George Lucas. Sure, it would have made for a horrible movie if the droids didn't make it to the planet, but why couldn't this scene have been cut? Or at least the escape pod slipped through unnoticed? I think it was Family Guy's Blue Harvest that had one guy asking this idiot if they were paying by laser. I hold that comment dear to my heart. And it took Darth Vader to boldly state she must have hidden the plans in the escape pod. Not only is Darth Vader evil, but he looks like a genius next to his officer subordinates. And it wasn't even that hard to deduce. Seriously, Vader, choke him. Look, there are plenty of cheesy moments in A New Hope. Even the actors thought the dialogue was silly, but I can't spend all day on it. The last one I want to talk about in A New Hope is my favorite of the weirdest moments in the movie. The future of the Rebel Alliance is at risk of being ended prematurely. The trench run in the Death Star is not going as planned. Damn near everyone has been expired, and the previous attempt at blowing up the giant death ball just impacted on the surface. Now it's up to the courageous Luke Skywalker to finish the task alone. Luke, you switched off your targeting computer. What's wrong? To which Luke, the savior of the galaxy, replies, nothing. I'm all right. Then, dead silence. What? No follow-up question from Big Brother who is monitoring Luke's targeting computer? I would have been like, do you mind turning it back on then? We're trying to blow up this big ball in the sky that's going to wipe us out in a couple seconds. Unless Leia or Han said something to the Admiralty, I doubt they knew that Luke was dabbling in magic. I mean the Force. If I would have heard all this, I probably would have freaked out, threw my hands up, and yelled, "We're all gonna die!" I definitely would have cried and peed, though. I mean, this kid just learned how to fly in space, was a rookie pilot with the rebellion, and he turns off his advanced technology. I'm glad you're all right, buddy. Would you mind cueing us in your plan? And can only Force-sensitive people see and hear Force ghosts? Obi-Wan wasn't really silent when telling Luke to let go. Then we have to wonder if Force ghosts are voices in Force-sensitive folks' heads. Did Luke tell the command center later that he was hearing dead people and that's why he turned it off? I guess the rebellion doesn't do debriefings after missions. Man, Luke, come on. Follow-up answer. And rebellion, follow-up question. Ask the boy why he turned it off. You just sat there like, okay, this guy knows what he's doing. He's a rookie. Okay, anyways, let's move on. Okay, deep breath. I know I skipped all the parts of Leia being ungrateful for her rescue. I think that deserves a video in itself, but let's touch on it just a little bit, and I won't even mention the fact that torture at the hands of Darth Vader just moments prior to her rescue didn't even seem to faze her psychologically or physically. Instead, she was wide open to insult the guys who rescued her, and even threw a hurtful insult to Chewbacca, like she was entitled to rescuing. Sure, they knew Leia was important, but was that the real reason Luke wanted to rescue her? Nope. He wanted points to get some trim. At least Han was honest about why he was there. He wanted the cash. Gaining a main squeeze became a perk. Clapping her cheeks was an unintended outcome. But he was honest. And poor Chewbacca is left with hurtful feelings. Okay, let's move on. Oh man, I'm on one today. Now, The Empire Strikes Back. Okay, I got nothing. I know there's plenty, but yeah, it's hard to say stuff about my favorite Star Wars movie. Maybe I'll revisit it another time. On to Return of the Jedi. Of all three of the original Star Wars films, this is the one a lot of people agree to be, well, full of surprises, let's say that. Still a good film, but there are moments, and I won't even talk about the Ewoks. It's been done. I'm just glad the little people playing them got a moment in the spotlight this side of The Wizard of Oz, but not as exploitive. But still, Ewoks. They eat people. And droids too, apparently. I'm not sure how that quite works. The one part of Return of the Jedi that gets me the most about this movie is the Emperor's monologuing. Yes, I skipped ahead, talking about the power of the dark side, Luke taking his father's place, and how feeble his rebellion is, blah, 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 blah. And this all just before pointing at Luke and zapping him with his taser fingers. Then he just teases Luke with a little drop of blue lightning juice when he could have ended him quickly, ensuring his loyal student Darth Vader wouldn't get the opportunity to turn and yeet him down a shaft. Sure, it looked like he was having a hard time putting an expiration date on Luke, even when he focused, but there was the time just before that. Now, you'll die. Okay, so what was all that blue goo about before that? And you didn't feel Vader's emotions turning? Just a bit ago, you told Vader you sensed he wanted to continue the search for young Skywalker. And that was probably something Vader had been trying to hide very well. But you didn't notice the overt change in his stance on killing his son? His last connection to his wife? Yeah. His arrogance is his weakness and all that. You must know by now your father can never be turned and whatnot. But dog, you just told Vader his intentions on finding Luke. So, what do? You tickle Luke with your little ejaculating fingers before you get serious about ending him, ensuring there is enough time for Vader to come to his senses and do what all Siths do, shorten the life expectancy of their masters. Seriously? Now you will die? You weren't trying to kill him this whole time before. Instead, you tickled him with your liver-spotted fingers? Yeah. Still a great scene, though. I don't care. It's cinema, and it works for dramatic effect. I just think it's kind of goofy when I really sit and think about it. And don't worry, yes, I know my little nitpicks are going to piss some people off, and I'll hear about it in the comments, but come on, why so serious? It's just entertainment. Star Wars is great and all, but you got to take it for what it is. All right, let's go back a little. You know, before Luke left to turn himself in on Endor, he tells Leia that she's his sister. This should have been an awkward moment for both of them, just with that, if it left there. Both remembering the kiss. Luke saving her from the Death Star to get that tail. Awkward. But it doesn't stop there. Leia responds, I know. Somehow, I've always known. If I were Luke, I would have puked in my mouth a little. But he left it with no response to a creepy moment becoming less family friendly, or maybe more family friendly in the wrong way. You always knew, and you put your tongue in my mouth? This is worse than Woody Harrelson drinking bull milk in Kingpin. Yes, worse than drinking milk from the dong of a beast. You kissed your brother knowing he was your brother? Okay, I'll calm down now. I know the story wasn't fully developed when The Empire Strikes Back was written, and Return of the Jedi kind of finished it off. George Lucas didn't know at the time that he was going to make them siblings. I don't need to hear that in the comments. I already know it. With that said, why did he make them siblings? Did he not remember they were making out in the movie prior? Well, the short answer is what I mentioned in the beginning. This is a soap opera in space. It's goofy at times, and families kiss without knowing they are family. Only she knew all along. Okay, as I said, these bits of dialogue and scenes within them do not ruin anything for me in Star Wars. It's still my favorite franchise, and I will adore it until I take my last breath. But I also like to have fun with it and not take it so seriously. I'm going to watch some Star Wars now. Subscribe to my channel. May the Force be with you always.